Public transportation. Earlier this year, Minister Grisha Haliger-Martin, the new system would have been installed as of January. Midwifery, care at SMMC, personalized support for mother and child. The community development, family humanitarian affairs, senior exercise program. From the island, St. Martin, this is SXM Daily News for February 11th, 2026. Public transportation. Earlier this year, Grisha Haliger-Martin, the Minister of Transport and Telecommunication, launched the Public Transportation Confirmation Process 2026, and I want to clearly remind all operators that the deadline to complete this process is February 27th, 2026. This is not a simple administrative exercise. This process allows the government to verify that operators are active, compliant and authorized to transport residents and visitors. It strengthens oversight, protects passengers, and ensures fairness for operators who follow the rules, said Minister Grisha Haliger-Martin at the press briefing on Wednesday.
Earlier this year, the Ministry of TIAT launched the Public Transportation Confirmation Process 2026. And I want to clearly remind all operators that the deadline to complete this process is February 27, 2026. This is not a simple administrative exercise. This process allows government to verify that operators are active, compliant, and authorized to transport residents and visitors. It strengthens oversight, protects passengers, and ensures fairness for operators who follow the rules. As of February 9th, participants remain very low, hence the reason why I'm again announcing this. So buses, out of the 138, only 36 complied. Taxi operators, out of the 454 of last year, only 125 complied. T-plates, 29. From last year, only 6 complied. G-plates, 1 out of 18 complied. And car rentals, 5 submissions. These numbers show clearly that many operators still need to take actions and time is running out. To further strengthen transparency and enforcement, government will introduce the St. Martin Public Transportation Confirmation Sticker. This sticker will be digitally linked to the official confirmation letter and allows inspectors to quickly verify compliance. This is how the sticker will look on the vehicles. Any person that sees this sticker under the transportation vehicle, this is how you know that they're all in compliance. This is the sticker we're using this year. Yes? Good. So operators without the sticker are more than likely to be stopped by verification, for verification, not as a punishment, but to protect those who comply and to maintain public trust. With residents and visitors, when residents and visitors see that sticker, they should know that the operators is authorized and confirmed by government. And this is about raising standards and moving the sector forward in a more structured and accountable way. So that same focus on structure and accountability carried into last week's strategic stakeholders consultation workshop, which was held from the 2nd to the 6th of February last week. Each day focused on a different part of our economic reality, from tourism and safety to policy coordination and innovation and culture. The discussions were honest and sometimes challenging, but very necessary. One message came through clearly: we can no longer afford to work in silos, and decisions in one sector affected many others, and other approaches must reflect that reality. This consultation was not the end of the process. I kept repeating that. It is a mark to start the implementation. So stakeholders who were unable to attend can still provide input, and we must move forward to drafting the strategic economic plan for next year. So the focus now shifts from discussion to action.
Tiat, you gave an explanation about the public transportation and the number of relatively low compliance in terms of the process that they need in order to get the sticker. What's the consequence of not being compliant? Will they not be able to operate? Is there a fine to pay? What's the consequence?
The most important consequence right now, and I mentioned it before, will fall into those that are not operational past a specific amount of time, and because the revocation process will begin sternly this coming quarter. So that's mainly it. Because the cleaning up process will begin. I mentioned, I think in previous press briefings, that we're looking at it legally before we start, and this is mainly part of that.
So again, for clarification, so those that are active but non-compliant, there's not exactly a consequence right now.
Right.
Okay.
Reporter posting question to Minister of Justice Natalie Tackling. One of the reasons that we were getting is that the system was not correct and that a new system would have been installed as of January. Has that system been installed? How effective it is? Because last week, when you said that we are almost up to date with the backlog, there were lots of people who applied for simple renewal over a year and have not gotten any response, including from a business person from Haiti requesting a permit so that they can purchase a property here, and for some reason, this has been red flagged. The Minister of Justice responded,
with the system, yes, initially the idea was, that we would launch at the beginning of this year. However, not all of the system is ready, and then immigration initially was proposing that then we half launch the system. And I didn't want us to have that some permits would be in a new system, while then if you had a different, for example, let's say if you applied with a work permit, so you were coming here to work, you would go into the new system, but then your family would have to apply in the old system. And I was like, that's not efficient. So I've instructed the company that we're not going to half launch any system, that I want a full, complete new system, and only that way can we then launch to the public, because I can't explain to the population, well, you got to go on this website to do this, but then that website to do something else, and then also we expect then immigration workers to have to be checking 2 different systems in order to, and then that's going to create problems in and of itself. So up to last week, I was given the timeline that by April, they should be ready with implementing the other outstanding parts of that system. Around that time, the public will know, because we're also working on a full campaign surrounding the system to introduce the public to it. That campaign will also be in multiple languages. It won't only be in English, but I think the idea is also to have it done in Spanish and in Creole, so that, because we also recognize that that is a large part of the segment of people that that make use of our immigration services. And as I've continued to say, we provide a service, an important service to the public, and I think that we need to do better at reaching the people who really need the information. So right now we're slightly delayed, but again, that was a choice that was made because I didn't want a splintered, segmented system. So hopefully in the next couple months, and I know that they're working hard on it on that end. So that remains ongoing. Then when it comes to the backlogs, again, I will ask, because up to last week I was told, hey, we're pretty much caught up. So I'll check, to see into what it is going on with these other files. And again, it's sometimes too where things are missing, where that individual maybe thinks that the file is complete, but when you go into it, it's missing something, that then immigration has sent an email, that email hasn't arrived at that individual, things like that. So those are still a lot of the issues that we see. When it comes to I don't understand the casus, to use a Dutch word, of an individual needing a permit to come buy a property, because that doesn't make sense to me, that you need a permit to buy a property, because normally you would buy the property first and request the permit after. And I don't know anything about, necessarily red flags in this case. So I'm not sure what exactly you mean.
Minister, there is some business people, probably I didn't explain it properly, but these are people who are intending to invest a lot of money in St. Martin. Prior to doing that, they have to get a residency permit or some kind of permit from IND. They requested this permit. It has been delayed. they were told it's red flag. So I'm asking, what are the reasons for giving a red flag over permits? Is it because the person have too much money? I don't know.
Again, what type of permit they would be requesting is I can't think of one off the top of my head. And maybe we could have that discussion offline. But again, of course, we have a compliance department within immigration as well. And within immigration, we also have to look at public order, public safety, and any misuse of our immigration system as well. And that's also why you have that level of compliance where we're looking at is it a kind of misuse of our immigration system going on, that then, of course, more due diligence would be done when it comes to a certain file and looking into the authenticity of what's happening. But we can have that discussion. Maybe I can understand that case specifically and then go into that offline.
Continuation Central Committee meeting of Parliament regarding the Nature Policy Plan for St. Martin, 2025-2029. Speaking on the floor of Parliament, Patrice Gums, Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment and Infrastructure on February 9, 2026.
In reviewing the questions raised by Parliament, it is clear that there is a strong interest in how nature protection is translated into day-to-day government decisions, particularly in relation to permitting, zoning, enforcement, financing, and accountability. Many of the questions, and we received 154 of them, reflect legitimate concerns about development pressure, enforcement, capacity constraints, and the long-term protection of sensitive natural areas. At the same time, the questions also reveal a recurring misunderstanding about the function and legal role of the Nature Policy Plan itself, which I'd like to take a moment to clear up before I dive into answering the questions. The Nature Policy Plan, St. Martin 2025 to 2030, is not a zoning plan, a permitting instrument, or an enforcement regulation. It does not designate individual parcels as protected land, approve or deny developments, nor impose new fines or permit requirements. Instead, it serves as a strategic policy framework that sets national direction for how nature and biodiversity are to be systematically integrated into spatial planning, developmental decision-making, legislation, financing, and institutional practices over the next 5 years. The Nature Policy Plan's purpose is to move nature considerations upstream, away from ad hoc case-by-case reactions, by clearly defining policy objectives, responsibilities, planned actions, timelines, and performance indicators. In doing so, it creates the foundation upon which concrete instruments such as zoning plans, environmental legislation, permitting procedures, enforcement mechanisms, and budget allocations can be strengthened, aligned, and implemented in a legally sound and transparent manner. Many of the issues raised by Parliament, such as enforcement consistency, mandatory environmental impact assessments, IEAs, green zoning, compensation mechanisms, and structural financing, are therefore not absent from the policy, but are deliberately addressed through phased actions, enabling conditions and institutional reforms outlined in Nature Policy Plan and its accompanying Nature Plan Annex and Appendix 1. This document should therefore be read as an implementation roadmap, one that acknowledges existing limitations, builds on lessons learned from previous policy periods, and once approved, will provide the policy mandate necessary to improve how developments and nature protection are balanced in practice. Its effectiveness will ultimately depend not only on adoption, but on sustained political support, adequate resourcing, interministerial coordination, and continued parliamentary oversight throughout the period. I now go into the first set of questions, the first of them being from MP Janssen Webster. What is currently being done to enforce nature protection, particularly given staff turnover within VROMI? From a policy perspective, we are working to ensure that nature laws and policies are comprehensively considered throughout the decisions and actions of the ministry. The Inspection Department is presently dealing with land-based environmental issues related to the violation of the Hindrance Ordinance, Article 1. This article reads as follows. It is prohibited to erect establishments that may cause danger, damage, or nuisance, or create a nuisance without a permit, which, subject to the exceptions made by a pursuant to this national ordinance, is given by the Minister of VROMI. Paragraph 2, the establishments referred to in the previous paragraph are designated by national decree containing general measures. The inspection department also deals with wastewater issues. However, the lack of required materials prevents any other controls when it comes to water bodies. We appreciate a suggestion that at least 2 ROMI inspectors should be fully trained and dedicated to nature and environment. The Nature Policy Plan does say that by 2028, at least 1 ROMI inspector should be fully trained and dedicated to nature and environment. As such, we do not think it's necessary to change the wording of this output indicator at this moment. We will take the consideration up in our planning. Question number 2. How many ROMI staff members are currently being trained for enforcement, and how is continuity knowledge transfer ensured? The inspection department is working to ensure that all inspectors have necessary enforcement capacity to carry out their duties. At this moment, the ministry has engaged with a company to have 8 employees, inspectors, trained for BAFPOL/BOA licensing. Question 3. What is the current status of the protected staghorn coral in Kebe Indigo area? Has an assessment been conducted to determine whether this protected coral species still exists following recent development activities in the area? The protected coral species, commonly referred to as elkhorn coral, and often locally referred to as staghorn coral in the Indigo Bay area, has been systematically monitored by the Nature Foundation since July 2024. According to a recent monitoring report submitted to the ministry by the Nature Foundation, 10 living staghorn coral colonies were selected and monitored over time. By 2026, only 5 of the original 10 colonies, 50%, remain alive, and of those, only 2 retained more than 80% living tissue. The monitoring shows a statistically significant decline in coral health, with high mortality, tissue loss, and fragmentation documented.
The Trust Fund's Enterprise Support Project, ESP, is moving into a new chapter focused on supporting the growth and sustainability of local businesses. On Tuesday, February 10th, at the National Recovery Program Bureau offices in Phillipsburg, the final Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprise, MSME, approved for financing through ESP, took part in a ceremonial signing. This brings them into the cohort of 323 businesses, strengthened through project support during St. Martin's post-Irma recovery period. With this signing, ESP formally concludes its financing activity and now turns its focus towards delivering targeted programs centered on accelerating growth, sustainability, and long-term business success for the island's MSMEs. The signing ceremony was attended by the Honourable Minister of TIAT, Grisha Haliger-Martin, and NRPB Director Clarette Connor. Speaking at the ceremony, the Minister of TIAT congratulated the final beneficiary, Yumi Lake, from Ailey Construction and Design. We always say small businesses are the backbone of St. Martin's economy. And to hear about another local construction company benefiting from the Enterprise Support Project is a plus for us. Congratulations to the ESP for implementing this wonderful program. We are looking forward to continued work with ESP on creating an environment where MSMEs can continue to grow and shine.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
Willemstad, Minister of Justice Charlton Hatto, met Tuesday afternoon with police unions and personnel of the Landelijke Beveiligingsdienst, LBD, following protests and growing concerns about the ongoing reorganization of the security unit. The minister responded to a call from the police unions ABVO, SAP, NAPB, and STRAF, who have raised issues regarding the treatment and legal position of LBD staff within the Curaçao police force. During the meeting, union representatives and LBD employees voiced complaints about how they have been treated by leadership and requested clarity about this. The LBD, which is responsible for securing key government buildings and providing personal protection to officials, has been undergoing integration into the Curaçao police force since the constitutional reforms of 10-10-10. Officers from the unit safeguard vital state institutions, including the Governor's Palace, Fort Amsterdam, and the courthouse, and are tasked with protecting ministers and other high-ranking officials. According to Minister Hatto, the structural framework, job functions, and social plan related to the reorganization have largely been finalized. The only remaining component, he stated, involves completing the training plans. He emphasized that misconduct will not be tolerated and urged employees to submit complaints in writing so they can be formally investigated. DCOM, featuring the Community Development, Family Humanitarian Affairs, Senior Exercise Program, speaking with Chadwick Richardson.
My name is Chadwick Richardson from Community Development. As Community Development, we see the importance in senior exercising. Therefore, with the senior organizations, we rolled out this exercise program. Regular exercise empowers the elderly by improving health, mobility, and social engagement, directly supporting St. Martin's 2024 to 2028 governing program goals of healthy aging, independence, and active community participation.
The importance of this program is as follows. The seniors are delighted that we have the sponsorship of a local government in order to have an activity in which they are physically involved, because they're basically sitting the whole day. They walk around a little bit, but they have now realized that by giving them the opportunity to exercise twice a week, this increases their metabolism, they move, they feel more nimble, and they burn the necessary calories that they have a little bit too much of. So yes, I am a very big proponent of continuing to have this sponsorship and this activity through our local government department. Programs like these are important because of the fact that there's only a few of this type of organization. It's us, it's our competitor, and basically there aren't any other non-profit organizations that cater to meet needs of the seniors. Basically, what is important is that the seniors need to know there are options. Instead of sitting home, they can come out, they can socialize, interact, and have a increased, happy, sociably accepted lifestyle. I can see that with the sponsorship from the government to this entity that provides us with this activity twice a week. I hope that it continues, that the budget is there for it, because our seniors do see the benefit. I can notice that whenever the exercise person is here, they're eager to start the exercise, their blood rate increases, their stamina increases, and they definitely enjoy that lunch that day, most definitely. So let's continue with that.
I joined this program because I have a lot of challenges. I may not look like I'm overweight, but I am overweight, and this program really helped me, especially with my circulation and a lot of joint pains. So I advise each and every one of the seniors, maybe seniors that don't feel they are seniors, but you should come out, enjoy this program, join this center, and believe you me, you would have fun And I hope to God that this program don't end because we need it.
St. Martin Medical Center, SMMC, is pleased to introduce its 2 permanent midwives, Midwife V. Monku and Midwife M. de Grief. Both midwives bring extensive training and many years of experience to SMMC. Midwife Monku has been part of SMMC's OBGYN team for several years, and Midwife de Grief has recently joined the team, bringing the number of permanent midwives to 2. SMMC's midwives are dedicated to providing comprehensive care for both mother and child throughout pregnancy and childbirth. They focus on personalized, one-on-one guidance rooted in trust, ensuring that each woman receives the support she needs during the birth process. Before birth, they provide information to prepare parents for birth during an educational meeting. During birth, patients are supported through monitoring the health of both mother and baby, pain management, and the delivery of the baby and placenta. Postnatal care involves postpartum care, education for mothers and families on caring for newborns, breastfeeding support, and family planning. Having a midwife on the team allows for more one-on-one guidance, which can contribute to less interventions and a better delivery experience. Midwives are experts in managing normal pregnancy and birth, but are also skilled in recognizing complications that require intervention and further care in cooperation with gynecologists.
Now for the weather forecast. Tonight through Thursday midday, variably cloudy and breezy with isolated showers. Surface winds. Today through Thursday midday, northeasterly to east-southeasterly with a gentle to moderate breeze at 8 to 16 in Montmorin. State of the sea. Slight to moderate waves, swells 3 to 7 feet. Outlook through Friday midday, partly cloudy to cloudy with isolated showers. And now your 3-day forecast.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
An estimated 271,205 voters have begun casting their ballots in Wednesday's snap general election that Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley called a year ahead of schedule as she seeks a 3rd consecutive term in office. While 6 political parties and 96 independent candidates are contesting control of the 30-seat parliament. Political observers say the contest is largely a straight fight between the island's two oldest political parties, the governing Barbados Labour Party, BLP, and the main opposition, Democratic Labour Party, DLP. Polling stations opened at 6:00 a.m. local time and are scheduled to close 12 hours later.
That we brought this country back from the brink of devaluation of our currency. That we remove the embarrassment of sewage running in our streets. That we remove the oppression of working without salary increases and people not having the right to have minimum wages in this country protected, of not having buses and trucks and all of those things that you know already, but above all else, of not having the confidence that your children could get the best education at tertiary level and rise to all kinds of heights in this country. Great, great, great power. He has made his name synonymous now with helping people across St. Philip and helping farmers across Barbados. Will you vote for Indarware in St. Philip South? My friends, bring the music down. Bring the music down. There's a man in whose hands will lie the future tone of politics in this country. You heard William Duguid tell you we ran a clean campaign. There was no talk of whores and pimps. There was no talk about secret bank accounts. There was no talk about all of the nasty aspersions. But this man is perhaps going to have to play a historic role. Yes, we believe that Barbados deserves two strong political parties. But for us to have two strong political parties, the person who next comes on stage must put Ralph Thorne back in the box, send him out of St. John, send him out of George Street, send him out of the Democratic Labour Party, and give that party and give the people of St. John, give the people of St. John the continued excellent work that he has done, from giving them back water, from being able to give people title, from fixing people's lands, from literally making sure that we can eradicate pit toilets. I say to you, this man, Charles Griffith, in your hands lies the protection of the soul of this country from backstabbers and from people who only see themselves. Will we send a message that we want in St. John to vote for Charles Griffith and the Barbados Labour Party?
This is our SXM Daily Newscast. Thank you for joining us.